The dissection team has revealed the hidden secrets of the crocodile's jaw. Two rather small weak muscles open the jaw. It's the huge jaw closers that make the crocodile's bite so strong. Anchored beneath the skull, these muscles pull the upper jaw down with tremendous force. Most other big biters have muscles high on their heads, but the crocodile's low-slung jaw muscles enable it to have a stealthy, low profile in the water.
Go ahead and put a rope under there.
Oh yeah, there it comes.
Get a good grip. 1, 2, 3. Hold it. Too much more. That's about it. Yeah. Cool. Well, that's great. That's absolutely great. This provides a great demonstration of how this muscle comes off the back of the skull here and comes down around the jaw and then comes up through here. And basically pulls down on this part of the skull, helping to bring these jaws together. Pretty impressive.
But not all crocodiles have such big bites. Some have adapted to evolve different jaws to suit different environments.
These are two members of the crocodile family. This is a gharial from India, and this is a saltwater crocodile from Australia. One of the things we see as we look at these two skulls is that they're related animals, and every bit of the skull matches. They are adapted to catch different kinds of prey. This one's adapted to catch fish. This one's adapted to catch large animals that are on land. What this one needs is rapid movement of the jaws, snapping them shut with immense speed, with very little water resistance. What this one has is the ability not to shut the jaws particularly fast, but great force for hanging on and then crushing bones once it's got it. You cannot have both. Evolution is filled with compromises. You can't have both high speed and great force. There are many other such compromises. And everything about this gharial skull can be interpreted as going for high speed of snapping shut. Everything about this saltwater crocodile can be interpreted as great force of jaw rather than great speed.
So that's the bite, but in the anatomy of a kill, it's just the beginning. So far, we've seen how a crocodile bites by exposing its mighty jaw muscles. But what happens next?
If you think about the way a crocodile kills, it doesn't kill by actually killing with its teeth. It just simply uses its jaws as big pincers to be able to grab hold of its prey and then drag it into the water to drown it.
This hunting technique is simple, but frighteningly effective.
The teeth of this animal's jaws are very simplistic. They're just cones, and they're not particularly sharp. What they're designed to do is sustain stresses from any direction, so when they get a hold of a prey item and it's struggling, it's not likely to break their teeth no matter which way they bend. Also, these animals, once they get a hold of a prey item, will go into death rolls. They'll spin, and the teeth can sustain that.
Without sharp teeth for slicing through meat, crocodiles use the death roll to tear off chunks of food. But this technique causes a problem. One of the mysteries of the death roll is how crocodiles manage to keep their mouth open underwater without drowning. Here to show us how they do it is comparative anatomist Joy Reidenberg. Joy's looked down the throats of hundreds of animals and is a world expert on vocal and breathing anatomy.
We're looking at the tip of the snout of the crocodile, and right here are the nostrils. And these have little valves so they can flop open, allow air in, and then close up like little plugs. And then you have a passageway that runs from the tip of the rostrum all the way inside the skull and then dives down into the larynx, which is below this. And if we open up the mouth, Alan, if you could just lift that up for me, we see inside the complicated arrangement of the inside of this mouth has a valve that keeps water from going into the larynx or voice box. So this ridge over here overlaps with the soft palate, and that keeps water from getting into the larynx. And when we open it up and look inside, if you can lift that a little bit higher, we can see inside there is a voice box right here. This is the larynx, and there's the opening into the larynx. And we're looking down a pipe that goes down to the trachea and all the way down to the lungs. So this is where air would pass. And when this animal elevates its larynx up like that, it seals this opening, and it's connecting the opening of the larynx into the nasal passageway, which is back here. So this animal has a built-in snorkel to allow it to breathe from the nose all the way down to the lungs and not let water that's in its mouth get into here and drown the animal. If the animal wants to grab a fish, this is also a wonderful trap for catching a fish. But if it's lying on the bottom of a riverbank with its mouth open like this, waiting for a fish to swim across, it needs to make a current to actually draw the fish into the mouth so the fish doesn't keep swimming right by. And it does that by using the tongue as a piston. So this big, broad, flat tongue just drops down like that. And now the fish is drawn in with the current, and then it can go ahead and snap those jaws shut, trapping the fish.
As we've seen, the head of this animal is equipped with the jaws and teeth it needs to trap and kill its prey. But first it has to catch that prey, and to do that it uses a huge piece of anatomy that represents almost half of a crocodile's body, its tail.
What I'm doing here is I'm exposing the tail muscles of this crocodile, and what I want to show you here is that this is almost all muscle in the tail. There's very little bone here, and if you pull this back, that whole thickness, almost as deep as my hand can go there, is solid muscle. That's on one side, the same is on the other side. So almost all of this bulk is just muscle. Let's go ahead and flop this over. There's the propeller. These fins right here are made out of keratin. They're really stiff, just like what your fingernails are made out of. What these animals do is they thrust their tail back and forth like this, and because it has an S-shaped motion to it, it causes thrust to be generated backwards and allows these animals to move forward. Things swim like 20 miles an hour. It's really amazing.
Crocodiles have evolved as masters of the water's edge. They move with ease in the water, but they can also slide up onto dry land on their bellies. If they want to go further, they'll lift up into a high walk. And if smaller crocs really need to move fast, they can bound like a rabbit. It's thought this running ability may date back to the time of the dinosaurs, when small crocodile ancestors lived on land and ran down their prey.
We can trace the crocodile's entire history through its fossilized remains. The evolutionary story of the crocodiles begins some 320 million years ago. Amphibians had pioneered their way from the sea to the land, but early reptiles had a trick up their sleeves: their eggs. Amphibians need to stay close to water to keep their eggs moist, but the covering of a reptile egg keeps vital fluids inside. Away from water, reptiles thrived, and over the next 100 million years, there's an explosion of different reptile body forms. The age of the reptiles had arrived. 250 million years ago, a catastrophic event occurred. No one knows for sure what happened, but virtually all life on Earth was wiped out. The reptiles were among the few groups to survive. This opened the door for them to fill gaps left by the extinct animals. The archosaurs, literally the ruling lizards, took center stage. One evolutionary line led to the birds and dinosaurs, the other to the crocodilians. The earliest crocodilians lived on land, like the long-legged Pterostrasuchus, a fast runner not much bigger than a rabbit. Later, some crocodiles took to the water. Their eyes and nostrils moved to the top of their heads, allowing them to keep a low profile in the water. And supported by the water, their bodies surged in size. 110 million years ago, enormous megacrocs like Sarcosuchus grew up to 12 meters long, the length of a bus. Whilst these super